Hi, how are you? It's a Dr. Muso. Today we want to talk about the colonization of Zimbabwe, the factors that led to the colonization of Zimbabwe, who was responsible for the colonization of Zimbabwe. So we want to talk about a question for all level, ordinary level. Here is our question for today. Name any five individuals involved in the signing of the Rudd Concession. So we have got 5 marks. Who were those individuals who were involved in the signing of the Rudd Concession? Don't forget, when we are answering a part A, we just list, we just name, we just identify, we just state. It's a one-word answer. In some instances, it's a sentence, but in most instances, it's a one-word answer. So here we list the individuals involved in the signing of the Rudd Concession. Who were those? We talked about number one. There was a man called Rochford Maguire. Rochford Maguire. He was responsible for the signing of the Rudd Concession. When I was in primary, I couldn't pronounce this word Maguire. I said Maguire, and people laughed at me. It's Maguire. Then we also have got a man who was called Francis Thompson. Francis Thompson, he was also involved in the signing of the Rudd Concession. Matebele was familiar with the Ngoni customs and culture. We also have got Charles Rudd. He was also involved in the signing of the Rudd Concession. We also have got we also have got John Smith Moffat. John Smith Moffat, we see that he had to assist Rhodes to sign the Rudd Concession. He had to deceive Lobengula so that Rhodes was going to sign the Rudd Concession. We also have got Reverend Charles Heron. Reverend Charles Heron. He was also responsible for the signing of the Rudd Concession. We also have got Lobengula's Indunas, Loche and Sikombo. They also led Loche. He was an Induna of Lobengula. He also influenced Lobengula to sign the Rudd Concession. We also have got Loche and Sikombo. Sikombo, he was an Induna. He also influenced Lobengula. Lobengula had to ask them, should I sign? But these Indunas, they were already bribed by Thompson. Thompson had already bribed them, and Lobengula eventually he had to put his ex leading to the signing of the Rudd Concession. So these were the individuals involved in the signing of the Rudd Concession. Then let's move on. Outline any 6 verbal terms of the Rudd Concession. So when we answer part B, we are supposed to give a point, then we explain a point. So we have to give the verbal terms of the Rudd Concession. We give a point, we explain a point. So a point is a B1, explanation is a B2, a point a B1, explanation is a B2, so that we are in a position of getting 12. So what were the verbal terms of the Rudd Concession? For example, we are talking about those terms that were not written down, those terms that were just spoken. For example, they promised a Lobengula that not more than 10 men, 10 whites were going to come to Lobengula's kingdom. So you explain now about that. Not more than 10 men were going to come to Lobengula's kingdom. This was done so that Lobengula could think that these people were not interested in occupying his kingdom. So a point, then a B point. Then you move on, you also explain again, you also give another point and say that they also promised a Lobengula that these men, they were going to be abided by the Ndebele laws and customs. They were going to follow the Ndebele laws and customs. This again, it was meant to make Lobengula believe that these men were going to be under his authority since they were going to follow his Ndebele laws and what? And customs. So a B point, B1 and a B1 2. You also move on. These men, they were also going to surrender their guns to what? To Lobengula. You explain about this surrendering of what? Of guns. Mean to say that they were not going to be a threat to what? To Lobengula. They were not going to be interested in occupying or conquering Lobengula what? As kingdom. So that is what you'll be doing. You'll be given a verbal term. You explain. Verbal term B1. Explanation B2. Verbal term B1. Explanation what? B2. So so that we are in a position of getting 12 out of 12. Let's go on part C. Did the Rudd Concession contribute to the colonization of Zimbabwe? On part C, we start by underlining the keyword, which is our keyword, the Rudd Concession, then its contribution to the colonization of what? Of Zimbabwe. So here now we have got the Rudd Concession and the colonization of Zimbabwe. So we are going to say that the Rudd Concession now is either to a greater, it's up to you, or to a lesser extent. So we can say that the Rudd Concession, it contributed to the colonization of Zimbabwe because we see that Lobengula, he granted the whites exclusive mineral rights to do whatever they deemed necessary. So he gave away his kingdom because of the Rudd Concession, leading to the colonization of what? Of Zimbabwe. But we skip one line. There were also other factors. There were also other points that also led to the colonization of what? Of Zimbabwe. You now talk about the other factors that also contributed to the colonization of what? Of Zimbabwe. Which are these factors? You also talk about the missionaries. They contributed to the colonization of Zimbabwe. They made Lobengula sign the Moffat Treaty. John Smith Moffat making Lobengula sign the Moffat what? Treaty. You move on, you also talk about the other factors. The signing of concessions. Lobengula signed concession what are treaties. We also move on, you also talk about the Berlin Conference of 1884-85. It also contributed to the colonization of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe was given to Britain. It was only a matter of time before Britain occupied Zimbabwe. You also move on the hunters. So Lu, those hunters who were coming, we see that they also influenced in the colonization of what? Of Zimbabwe. So there were also other factors that we can talk about that also led to the colonization of Zimbabwe. So we can say other factors to a greater what extent than the Rudd Concession to a lesser what extent. Or you can say the Rudd Concession to a less extent, you explain your points. Then you skip one line, then you say to a less extent, you explain your points. So that is what we have to do when we answer these questions. Thank you so much. It's Dr. Muso.